Hello, hello. I'm Chris with the Legacy team. And today we're going to be producing more parts for the Pedestal Bed project, specifically some headboard components. So these are the vertical supports for the headboard. So we'll go show you how that's done with a couple of other parts as well. We're going to be using the Maverick 4x8 CNC system to make these parts. So let's go see how it's done. As was mentioned, we're going to be producing the headboard components, and so the ones that we're going to specifically do are these vertical components that will attach to this back rail of the pedestal bed, and then also these horizontal straight headboard components. We'll do a separate video on this curved headboard component, but today we'll just do the verticals and the horizontal straight components. Now these are all produced in Vectric's CAD/CAM software, and before we can start cutting the parts, this material that we're cutting in, this kind of Brazilian rosewood, is extremely dense. And to make sure we're having the proper feeds and speeds, I'm going to use a sample part to produce some test cuts. And I'm glad that we did, because we found some interesting results that we needed to tune in. And so the procedures that we're going to be performing is we're going to be drilling some holes. We're going to be pocketing out the insert holes as well as cutting across the edges for the profile cuts. And these test cuts will give us the information we need to program the proper feeds and speeds for the rest of the parts on the bed. Using the slotted table fixture that we made in a previous video, this is what we're going to be using to clamp all of the parts on the horizontal workstation on the Maverick 4x8. Combined with Legacy's Low Pro clamps, this hold down system is secure and safe while also being easy and fast to use. If you're interested in getting your own set of Low Pro clamps, you can call us at 801-491-0010. Now the first test cut is simply drilling some holes, and we drilled it all in a single pass to see if we needed to introduce peck drilling. The second cutting process is using a 1/4 inch spiral cutter to pocket out these holes for inserts. And the final test cut is using our 3/8 spiral cutter to drill on both ends of the material to reduce tear out and to see how fast and how many passes we needed to take to cut along the ends or edges of the parts. Throughout this entire cutting demonstration, we will have the dust manifold open so that we can see all the cutting action. After a quick countersink, we wanted to see how the inserts would do in this material using our standard tolerances. This is where I'm glad we did this test procedure, because you can see that the brass actually strips out because it's too much force being applied to the inserts. Now we also are going to be incorporating steel inserts instead of brass inserts, but this gives us a good test to ensure that we're not putting too much strain or stress on those inserts regardless of the material type. To fix this, we're going to pocket out a series of holes that simply gradually get bigger in diameter so we can find that sweet spot when putting these inserts in. So that one still had just slightly a little more issue, even though it went below the surface of the material. And this next one went in beautifully. Now we're ready to actually cut the first components for the bed using our updated feeds and speeds and tolerances for the inserts. You can see that we updated the drilling process to take 2 passes per hole instead of 1. We also found that we could cut the ends of the material in 3 passes instead of 6 at a little bit faster feed rate. And this allows the CNC to cut the parts to the exact length that they need to be. We simply repeated that process for 2 of these short components, and then we're going to load these longer components and produce 2 of these. Now these longer headboard components are incorporating these pocket holes for the brass inserts, and they now have the updated tolerance parameters so that we don't accidentally damage our inserts when putting it into this material. We also decided to add additional tool paths to countersink these holes with a 90-degree V-cutter so that we don't have to do that by hand afterwards. All of the hardwood components for the entire bed are going to be cut 1/4 inch longer than the finished sizes. That way the CNC can actually cut the edges so that we can be very precise and consistent in producing our components, while eliminating any chances for human errors with traditional woodworking tools. All of this is again repeated for 2 of these long headboards, and we now have all 4 of the straight headboard components ready to be sanded, finished, and assembled. And that's parts right off the CNC machine, ready to be sanded, finished, and we'll assemble them with the rest of the bed once we finish all the other components. Now, if you're interested in seeing what a Legacy CNC can do for you, I recommend you visit our website at legacywoodworking.com. Now, if you'd like to see more cutting demonstrations like this, just click right over there. Don't hesitate to like, subscribe, check that notification box so that you can be notified when new videos like this come out. And as always, thank you for watching. And remember, Legacy solves more woodworking problems than any other CNC manufacturer in the industry.